Hello and welcome to another video. As usual, my name is Jeff and this is Inquisitive Universe. So let's get started. Now, I want to talk about displays today. This is something I've never really talked about on this channel and I feel like, we should talk about it. So what is a display? A display is basically, like the biggest area on every smartphone, the biggest. It also consumes the most battery, occupies the most space, and without it, you don't have a phone because it does everything. It's both an input and an output device, displays what you want to see, and then allows you to put information inside the smartphone. If anything happens to the display, you feel terrible even looking at the phone. How many times have you, your phone fell out of your hand or you accidentally dropped something on the screen and then you see those spider cracks and then you see the ink spread across the, that's really, it's why we invest a lot of money in protecting our displays using whatever type of display protection. That's for a future topic. I don't really want to go into all that. I want to talk about displays. So without further ado, let's just get into it straight away. There are two key families of displays on smartphones. The first one being the LCD family and the second one being the OLED family. So I'm going to start with the LCDs. The LCD basically means liquid crystal display. Now what this simply are, the LCD by itself, it means that when you have an LCD is type of display technology where you've got several different layers of displays. There's the actual pixels that show you stuff that you need to see, and then behind the pixels, behind it, there is a whole board with lights, with LED lights at the back that shine forward and then light up the display, and then the light passes through the pixels and then shows you stuff on your screen. So basically LCDs are those displays that have a backlight. The pixels are there. You've got the touch, the panel that allows you to manipulate your smartphone. Then you've got the pixels behind it, and then basically you have a backlight that shines through and powers the whole display, the whole thing. Now LCDs have several types depending on the technology that they used to make it basically. So you've got TFTs. Those ones are a bit old, and they actually consume a lot of power, and then I think those are some of the oldest you still find around. They are still around on entry-level smartphones. TFTs, they're actually a bit cheaper than what you have next. Is what is called PLS LCD, and then you've also got the IPS LCD. Believe it or not, IPS LCDs used to be flagship spec, believe it or not, as far back as 2012, 2013, 2014 even. It used to be a flagship spec until until OLED displays became all the rage. And I think after that there's also LTPS LCDs, but those ones aren't very popular. I think they're very costly and nobody really uses them. So what you'd find currently, TFT LCDs, you've got IPS LCDs, and then you've got PLS LCDs. So LCDs are a boon for smartphone manufacturers because they're actually very cheap. They're very cheap to manufacture, and they make the price of the smartphone, they bring it down as well, make it affordable. And then if anything were to happen to your smartphone display and use an LCD, they're also very, very cheap to replace. By accident, I smashed the LCD display on my Redmi Note 9 Pro, and believe it or not, I replaced it with around 20 USD. Yeah, with around 20 USD. With around 20 USD basically. So that's for LCDs. LCDs have decent viewing quality. The colors around all that are accurate. The blacks are not very deep. The contrast is also but LCDs if you can look beyond that and you get an LCD with a very, very good resolution, which is also a future video I'm planning to look at. If you get an LCD with a very, very good resolution, I mean, you can surpass most of this stuff. It's when you get a phone with 720p and below. Believe it or not, there are still phones with 480p. Right, there are still phones with 480p displays, but if you get a phone with 720p, that's HD and below, that's when you start seeing the faults of LCDs. But if you get something like 1080p, for example, I think 1080p is the max you'd find nowadays, because anything higher than 1080p, then we're moving into OLED territory. So that's for that one. Like I said, they're very affordable, easy to replace, and also another thing too, they do not get screen burn easily. So what you get on LCDs are what we call temporary image retention. So when for certain phones, when you've used the phone up to a certain point, if you use your keyboard a lot or if you use Facebook a lot, you see that the stuff tends to stay on the screen. The ghost of it is still there. Even when you're not using your keyboard, you still see the ghost there doing, ooh, you used me yesterday to type for almost 5 hours. Something like that. But you're not using it, so that's the image that stays there. The ghost of that app or the ghost of that whatever icon or whatever element that remains on the screen is what we refer to as screen burn. So LCDs mostly do not suffer from that. What they have is temporary image retention, which means after a while it goes away. Now the next one are the OLED family, of which you've got POLED and then you've got AMOLEDs. So AMOLEDs, or rather OLEDs, are organic light emitting display, which means that the display is made up of organic materials as opposed to LCD, which is entirely silicon. Now, the organic light emitting diode displays, the OLED, right, usually have pixels that carry out a two-in-one function. Now, unlike LCDs, they do not have a backlight that is shining through and powering everything. The LCD, the pixel itself, sorry, I beg your pardon, the pixel itself handles both the lighting and the display. So, which means that each individual pixel can turn off at will and on, off and on. Now, this is not possible on LCDs because everything is powered by backlight. So there's no way, if the backlight is on, the backlight is on. If the backlight is off, the entire screen is off. You get. So even when on LCDs, you cannot really get black color because the LCD, the pixel is going to turn to display what it thinks it's black or what it thinks will look like black to your eyes. On AMOLEDs or on OLEDs, this is entirely different. The pixel can turn off and show you true black, which makes like the viewing experience, the contrast, everything. And dark mode, especially on LCDs, dark mode is just what would I call it now? A placebo. It's not a real thing. On AMOLEDs or on OLEDs, on the other hand, like wow, dark mode is day. Dark mode is essentially dark mode. The pixels turn off. Now, OLEDs and AMOLEDs also have like a better. Why do I? Yeah, they're all OLEDs by the way, but it's important to make that distinction. Now, OLEDs and AMOLEDs also have like better viewing angles, better color reproduction, and since they are mostly used on higher end phones, they get to be tuned by companies like Dolby Vision, for example. They have HDR10, for example, to ensure that they give you very accurate, vibrant colors as well, to ensure. I don't know what's wrong with my L and my R's today. Very accurate and very vibrant colors as well. So yeah, that's for that one. Now, yes, benefits. I've already called benefits. Those are the benefits. Drawbacks. Yeah, there are certain drawbacks to using. I mean, AMOLEDs are all the rage. They are great. They are fine. I mean, you take a picture or you're watching a movie on an LCD. If you transfer it to an AMOLED or to an OLED display, it becomes an entirely different experience. And this is why some people have erroneously argued with me and with other people that it is the display that affects camera at the back. No, it's just that the better the display you have, the better you see stuff, essentially. So yeah, there are the main drawback. There are two main drawbacks actually. The main one, it's the cost. The cost of have I separated the families? No, I have not. I have not separated the families. I'm doing this without a script. I'm just sitting here talking. So yeah, let's keep the drawbacks to one side. Let's talk about the families. Basically, there's two key factions in the OLED camp. You've got the POLED that is done by companies like BOE, LG, and co. And then you've got AMOLED. AMOLED is basically what AMOLED is a AMOLED, the concept AMOLED was actually, by Samsung basically. And when you see the name AMOLED, it means like, something Samsung designed and made. Yeah, so that one, it has an active matrix. I think the active matrix has to do with the arrangement of the pixels inside the AMOLED to ensure that it's better efficient for battery consumption and all that, and display and pixel density and all that. So the POLEDs don't really have that active matrix that you'd find on Samsung's AMOLEDs. But whatever the case, there are companies right now that can actually, in fact, they are piggybacking on Samsung's AMOLED technology and can give you AMOLEDs like probably as good as the one you find on Samsung's phones, on Samsung native AMOLED. You see third-party companies actually doing this. So basically, when you hear AMOLED, it's originally supposed to belong to Samsung, but other companies have jumped in on the action and they can actually produce very good AMOLEDs as well. And this has caused the price of AMOLEDs to fall down drastically. And now you see AMOLED displays on mid-range phones, like on phones like Redmi Note 11, Redmi Note 12 4G, right? So yeah, now that one is a given, there are other AMOLEDs that you should know about. The first one being the Super AMOLED. Now the Super AMOLED simply means one thing. It means that the display on top. I know nowadays we have them glued together, and if anything were to happen to the touch outside, for example, and the inner display, nothing is wrong with it. You can see if you go to most outlets, they'll tell you that they can both be separated, but it's a 50-50 chance. With Super AMOLEDs, there is nothing glued together. It's all one unit. One single unit together. And what this means is that the touch the touch response is actually a lot faster, since there's like no CPU or GPU or circuit overhead for instructions on the touch to get to the display to like show you what it's supposed to show you. So when you hear the term Super AMOLED, it means that the touch, the digitizer, and the display itself, one unit. Yeah. So on AMOLEDs, you've got display, you've got digitizer glued together, On Super AMOLEDs, they are 1 unit. On dynamic AMOLEDs, basically it's just it's a marketing gimmick that has, you know, like HDR10 plus and Dolby Digital and all that, you know, like certified, tuned display to give you something you'd find on a very high-end television, but you know, in a small package. That's what we get when we're talking about dynamic AMOLEDs. So basically, AMOLEDs, again, let me recap. AMOLEDs, 2 factions, the POLEDs and the OLEDs are divided into 2 POLEDs, AMOLEDs. So you've got POLEDs on one side, then you've got the AMOLEDs, where you've got the AMOLED itself, Super AMOLED, and the dynamic AMOLED. Drawbacks of AMOLEDs: they're very expensive. Yeah, they're very expensive. I have seen people with S-series phones where, you know, something happened to the display and they're like selling the display for scrap, you know, so that like engineers and phone technicians can, you know, like cannibalize the smartphone and then like use parts, like original parts in quotes, to repair, you know, like other phones that have broken down, and then they just simply go and buy a new one because it is that expensive. Sometimes it is better to purchase a new phone that fixed the AMOLED display. That's 1. 2, screen burning. Unlike LCDs that do not suffer from screen burning, AMOLEDs are actually very susceptible to screen burnings, and it's usually permanent. Forget about those quack blog sites that will tell you, you see headline, how to fix what's it called now, how to fix screen burning. You can't fix it on an AMOLED. On LCDs, you really don't have to do anything. You just paste another, just, you know, like keep another picture on the screen entirely, and then the one that's supposedly, you know, ghosting there will just basically fade away. So that's LCDs, and that's OLED/AMOLEDs. Tell me what you think about it in the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.